everybody, it's Adrian from StyleAssisted, and I thought I would do a really quick video today about my favorite concealers. One of the questions I get asked all the time is what concealer I use to cover up my dark under eyes. Now, I don't know about you, but with my extremely fair skin, it's almost translucent to the point where if I have a dark circle or some sort of blemish, like it's super spotlighted and I've got to cover that up. Concealer for me isn't just like a thing that I use occasionally. It's the first thing I reach for, even if I'm gonna have a minimal makeup day, because these dark circles are real. So I've rounded up my 5 favorite concealers. I've looked for years and years, and when I'm looking for a concealer to recommend to you guys, I try to find something that's fairly mainstream. There are some drugstore brands that you can get that are light enough, but I haven't been able to find them in a wide range of availability, and so I don't want to recommend something to you that you can't get. So the ones that I've looked for have been name brands, and I found these at Sephora and Ulta. Unfortunately, the ones that I found that are concealers from drugstores are not light enough. So although the formulations may be fantastic, like the Fit Me concealer, I think that it's from Maybelline, they're not light enough for me. So anyway, without further ado, these are my favorite concealers for fair skin. As you guys may know, that in my highlight and conceal video, I was loyal to one specific concealer. This is the NARS Creamy Concealer in the shade Chantilly, and I've used this sucker for 8 years religiously. Every time I find a new concealer, I try and see if it stacks up against this, because this has been the gold standard as of late. Unfortunately for this one, I found other ones that I love a little bit better. So out of all the ones I have in my hands right now, my favorite one that I have started using all the time is the Bye Bye Under Eye in the shade Light Ultra Fair, and it's amazing. So this is a waterproof anti-aging concealer, and this sucker is light. So if you have a problem finding a concealer that's light enough, this will not disappoint. I mean, we're talking insanely light. I love it. And it's super, super thick, so a tiny bit goes a really long way. So my advice when you're using this for the first time, use a tiny, tiny, tiny bit and build. Don't get too much, it'll get too cakey, and that is going to be a massive problem for you. That's the biggest complaint people have with this. So let me just say it, use a tiny bit and build. All of these concealers I'm talking about are buildable, but make sure that once it is where you want it to set it, and I'll talk about that later. So this is still my absolute favorite, but I do love the NARS, but it's not as good as this when it comes to opacity and just in general being light enough for me to use everywhere on my face. Now, NARS did come out with a creamy concealer, but this is, what's it called? The Complete Concealer. It's obviously, I don't love the formula as much because then you get your finger in there, so you have to use a brush and then sanitize it and make sure, but this actually blends into your skin and mimics the way that skin looks. And so I have found this is great for if I'm going to cover up a blemish or I need to cover up some redness around my nose. It just blends into the skin seamlessly and just looks like skin. Now, this is a little bit yellower, obviously, than this, and honestly, even though it's the same shade as this, which is Chantilly, it's a little darker. So be leery of that and don't just put it everywhere willy-nilly, because you will have a little bit of discoloration if you're fair like me. Now, coming into almost tied for second with the NARS is the Tarte Shape Tape. I love this because the doe foot applicator on this sucker is huge. Look at that. And it's really, really light and thick. Now, it's not as light or as opaque as the stuff from Bye Bye Under Eye, but man, you get a lot of power from this. And I still do the exact same almost triangle underneath, because since my skin is so fair, all my features sort of blend and I look like just a square, very pale circle. So I make sure that underneath my eyes, going down to my cheeks, is completely covered and completely opaque, because it just sort of lifts your entire face, makes your eyes look bigger, and it really covers up those under eyes. If you just go straight underneath your eyes, it's not going to look as natural. Make sure you blend down and out. But I love this, and this is actually what I have on today. So if you guys wanted to see what it would look like. Now, last is the Born This Way concealer from Too Faced. I do like it. It is light, but this formula for me is it's a little bit yellower, and it's not as thick. if you guys don't like a really thick concealer, then this is going to be your favorite thing ever. It's not super thick, it's not super opaque, it's just enough to blend. This would be a good concealer for someone that's just wearing concealer and no foundation, because it matches closer to the color of your skin, because since it's not as opaque, you could basically just blend it out to nothingness and it wouldn't be completely different than I will still keep this around, and I use it for days that I'm just using a little bit of concealer and mascara, because we all know I can't live without mascara since my eyelashes are red. So you literally can't see them for the most part unless I have on mascara. So if I have to have two things, it's usually some sort of concealer and mascara. But this is a good bet if you want a concealer that's not a lot of work. Like, this is easy to work with because it's so much thinner. And it's a great option, and like I said, it's definitely light enough. Now, if you guys want to see swatches of all of these, I actually did it in my post on my blog, so if you have more questions, I'm linking that below and you guys can go take a look at the post that I've already posted. But I have swatches on my arm, fairly wide ones, in inside, like, halogen light, and then basically I went outside and took it in natural light. So you can see what it looks like on my super fair skin out in the daylight, because I know. And I left it on for about a half an hour before I took the picture, so you could see if it oxidizes or not, because haven't you guys put on a concealer and it looks good, and then like 30 minutes later you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, that's yellow. Nope. All right, so real quick, I'm gonna talk about what I use to actually set my under eyes. All right, so I mentioned before that if I put on concealer, I set it. Hands down, biggest thing that I think that people skip that they shouldn't, because setting your under eye concealer keeps it from creasing, it keeps it from fading, and just in general keeps it locked into place all day long. Now, I have everything from super low end to super high end, so I'm going to start out actually with the low end. This e.l.f., this is the Illuminating palette. This is probably my favorite thing in my beauty drawer. Now, I am an e.l.f. Beauty Insider, so they do send me stuff for free. I purchased this before I was a Beauty Insider, and this is the seventh palette that I have purchased because I go through them. Now, this right here, this yellow shade, is what I use to set my under eyes. That's what I used today. And then I actually use this shade right here to contour. I know. If you guys want to see a video of how I use this to highlight and contour my pale face, then leave a comment below and I will get that taken care of for y'all. But this sucker is like $5, $7, $7. It's not expensive. You can get it at the drugstore. I love this. Now, if you have darker skin tone than me, it may not work for you, but for the pale ladies, this sucker right here is going to be your best friend. I love it. It's awesome. Now, that is a highlighter, so it gives a little bit of illumination. If you just want to set it, this RCMA no color powder is amazing. You can get it on the internet. You can't buy it from Sephora or Ulta. You just have to get it off. Sometimes Beautylish has it. Fair amount of places that sell this is a professional product, but it is a no color powder and it's amazing. Like, better than this. This is the Laura Mercier translucent powder. Actually, they have a no color powder. This is the translucent. Translucent I will use on the rest of my face. Under my eyes it actually looks brown because I'm that pale. But I couldn't find my no color one because I use this all the time. So this is basically to take the place of the Laura Mercier no color powder. If you have this one, that's super great. But if not, this sucker's like $5 or $7 and you get a stink ton of it. And it's great. I have a ton of makeup artist friends that use this even when they're on movie sets and like huge big deal, have budgets for all of the makeup, and this is their go-to for setting everything. So this is great. You will love it. Now on the higher end, this I just discovered a few weeks ago and I'm obsessed. This is the Bye Bye Pores by IT Cosmetics again. This is the Illuminating powder. Now, it actually looks pretty similar to the e.l.f. one because it's yellow and it has a little bit of illumination and it's fantastic. Obviously, you get a lot, but it's not a ton. I mean, it's a thin pan, but it's amazing, and this actually can go all over your face just like any of these powders. I don't have any specifically, I don't like the quote-unquote under eye setting powders because I feel like sometimes they have glitter in them and I'm not trying to look like a My Little Pony, so no glitter for me. But I love this, and this I can use anywhere on my face to set my makeup, but this is great under eyes. I prefer the Illuminating over the regular one because I'm gonna spend the money to get an upgrade. I need some illumination underneath my eyes. This one's great. Now, the highest is what I used originally a long time ago, and this is the Hourglass. This is the third one I've purchased, and you can see in my pit pan. This is an ethereal light. This is actually the one I used in my highlight and contour video. This is the most expensive. If you think this is expensive and don't want to use it, use this sucker. There's not a noticeable difference. I'm sorry, Hourglass, it's not. And I can say that because I still purchase it because I still like it. But, I mean, for the money, I usually just grab it if I can't find this. And before, for a while, if I wanted some illumination into my eye and I couldn't find this, and I didn't have this yet, this was my go-to. And a lot of times in the winter, I'm so insanely pale, like even ghostier than normal, that this is a white shade, which is perfect for us pale people. So anyway, these are the 5 products I keep on my beauty stand at all time. I am a huge advocate of setting under eyes, and all of the concealers I listed earlier only work as good as the powder that you set them with. So make sure that you don't mess that up by using a darker powder to set them, because once again, that'll pull a darker, either a brown or a yellow shade, and you're not gonna want that. So you wanna make sure that you use a light dusting amount. I used to do baking my face. I may get into that again this summer. I haven't had to this winter because my skin's not oily in the winter. But anyway, long story short, this is my arsenal for how I cover up the super dark under eye circles. If you guys follow my Instagram, you know the under eye circles are real. I show you guys what I look like without makeup all the time, and they're dark because I can drink a ton of water and I can get a lot of sleep, and that's just the way that God made me, so I roll with it. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I know you've been asking for a really long time about what products I use daily for things like this. So if there are any other products you want to know about, leave them in the comments below. If you have any questions, I'm actually way more active on my Instagram at StyleAssisted or on my blog, StyleAssisted.com. So if you have any questions or want a little bit more info, just go ahead and hit me up on one of those 2 places, and I'm sure I will get to respond to you much quicker than on here. All right, well, I love you guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you don't already for more videos like this, and give this video a thumbs up. All right, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.